Hi, welcome to this episode where we start coding the logic for our ThumbFight app. For this, we will create a class called Game Manager, which will track the progress and show us the winner at the end. To do this, Game Manager class needs to have certain methods which the UI can call to tell it about user actions, like Start Game button click, Left Thumb button click, and Right Thumb button click. So if you see these three buttons, which the user can press to inform the game manager that something has happened. Apart from these methods, the game manager will also run a timer which will tell the game manager every second about the change in remaining time and also at the end when the time is up. So let us first define some empty methods to create a structure. This structure is very important, and every time you have to create a new class, please spend a lot of time on this before starting to code. So let's define a new package. For that, come in this Android view, click on your package and say new package. Just type game. Now right click on the game and say new Kotlin file / class. You can select class and say game manager. So this is going to create a new class for us. This is an empty class where we will write our structure. So the first method that I can think of is a start game. So this will correspond to the start game button. Then we will have left thumb clicked, and then right thumb clicked. So here if you see, the functionality for left thumb click and right thumb click will mostly be same, and just that the thumb is different. So we can actually combine these two methods by saying thumb clicked. But before that, we will need something to identify the thumb. So for that, we are going to create an enum which will have two players, left and right. So enum is like a class which is defined like a constant. So which can denote unique values. In our case, it would be left thumb and right thumb. So now we can rewrite our method. Click received with the variable player. So the UI will call this method when the user clicks left thumb or the right thumb with the correct player. Now apart from this, as we talked about, we also need a method which will handle the events coming from the timer. So we will write a method called process event with time left, which will be an int value. This will be seconds. Now apart from this, as we discussed, the game manager needs to inform the UI that something has happened or it needs to update itself. For that, we are going to use the callback mechanism. So how it is done is we define an interface called game manager callback, which will be implemented by our activity. So the first thing that the UI needs to know is that time has changed so that it can update the UI and tell the user that the seconds are reducing and he needs to press more buttons quickly. So let us give it a meaningful name. The next method would be we need to inform the UI which player's turn it is to play. So for that, we will write a method called setPlayer, and in that we will inform the UI which player's turn it is. In the third method, we need to show the UI what is the current score. So let us write a method called score change, and we will tell for which player what is the latest score. Finally, we need to inform the UI who is the winner. So we'll write a method called show winner, You might think that we'll only need one player, left or right. But what happens if both the thumbs do equal number of clicks? So to overcome that scenario, we can have a third player called tie, but that would require a lot more coding. So we will just simplify it by saying we will have an array. So instead of having one player, we will return an array of player. And depending on that, the UI can decide whether it's a tie or one of the player has won. So our structure is ready. Apart from this, what we need are some member variables. So these are the variables which will hold the data the life throughout the life cycle of the game manager. So till the time game manager is alive, this will hold the data for that. So the first thing we need is the current player. So we need to know who is playing. So it will be a player, and let us just give it a default value. So as we have learned, we don't need to define the type if we are already giving it the value. Second thing that we need to know is how much time is remaining. So let us also give a default value 0. Then the third thing that this class needs to maintain is a timer. So we are going to use a class called countdown timer, which will be null at the start, and we are going to initialize it in the start game method. So I would recommend that you go to Android docs and read about countdown timer. What it will do is that we will start it for 10 seconds, and at every second it is going to call us back and tell us that 1 second has passed. So at every second we can decide whether to change the UI or set the player or end the game, depending on how much time is left. Lastly, we have a hash map to store the score of left and right thumb. So something like this: score map, player, and int. So we'll give it an empty value at the start. So if you don't know what a hash map is, please go and read about it. In short, it is like having a mailbox with lots of boxes to keep stuff, where each box is identified with a unique key. Just like the mailbox in multi-story apartments, where each flat has a unique number which is used to identify the box, and the box can contain letters or parcels or whatever comes in the mail. In our case, the key is the player and the box will contain the score. So our structure is ready. Once a structure is ready, it is a good practice to go through all the scenarios and verify whether the structure will hold good. So as a challenge, please go through this structure and the game we are building and verify whether we can handle all the scenarios. So if I press these buttons, is the game manager ready to accept all those events? And if we do a mock run of the game, whether the game manager callback methods are enough to tell the UI about all the events that might happen. So let us pause this video here. In the next video, we will complete our game manager class, and then we will be ready to connect our activity with this. Thanks for watching.